Powell here. Welcome to Mount Vernon's Boat Shop. We're building a Bateau down here at Mount Vernon for George Washington's Pioneer Farm. We're using hand wrought rivets made up at the blacksmith shop here on the estate, and hand wrought nails to hold this boat together. It's the wood we're using here is white oak and cypress. The tools are all mostly authentic. These aren't that uncommon. Here is a cordless, keyless chuck drill, and it's amazing how well it worked. One of the things that we're doing today is, besides installing frames with the hand-wrought rivets, is installing a seat riser into these notched frames. There's a little more fine-tuning to go before they get fully installed and bedded, but they will be used with be installed with these hand-wrought wrought iron nails. We have a plank steaming over there that will be setting on the side of the boat. It'll be the first plank to go on, and it's again it's cypress, and being an inch thick, it's going to take an hour to steam, and I believe it has maybe another 30 or 40 minutes left in it before it'll be ready to go on. But one of the many things that'll happen down here today, we're building this boat to support not only the 3 farms and fisheries that are on the river, but the mill and the distillery. They're all reachable by water, the mill and distillery up Doe Creek. You'd need a shallow draft, flat bottom boat that could easily go along the shoreline. So you're carrying goods, supplies to and fro, but you're also mending fences that went all the way down to the water, keep the cattle from, say, swimming away or going to the neighbors. We're building this boat in the fashion as they would have back then, by rack of eye. No real plans. A plan is an idea to kind of start off with, but after that, it's been what we determined the boat should look like. So there's a lot of craftsmen involved in this project. We're often asked, once the boat's completed, how do we seal it? How does it stay watertight? Well, we have a sample over here of what our sides and bottom will look like. The planks will be fit edge to edge, called carvel planking. It'll have a caulking bevel carved in one edge of a plank, and then you'll have oakum, which was old ship's rigging that was no longer good for the ship, but you could unravel it, you could rub some pine tar into it, and then what you can do is you can work it into the seam as if it was on the boat. It'd be a lot easier to demonstrate, but use a caulking iron, and you'll drive this in with the caulking mallet. And what that does is, once that's driven in nice and tight all the way along, it tightens up the boat like a drum. It's really actually part of the structure of the boat. Until that caulking goes in, this boat won't be tight. And then once it goes in the water will refill the dry wood fiber cells. It'll swell and crush around that caulking and become watertight. Be a little pitch paid on the outside of the seam to keep the caulking in, but otherwise I believe that was the only thing that was done, and it probably wouldn't even received any paint. These boats weren't really meant to last. I think they built them with green wood. They would be continually drying out, even though they're in the water. The wood is going to dry out and shrink and allow these seams to open up. So maintaining these boats was something that was probably done year-round. caulking, refastening until the boat was deemed no longer usable, and they build another one, which is probably why we don't have a lot of these boats around anymore. So
we have a question. Shauna asks, what part of traditional boat building is most difficult without modern tools?
what part is most difficult without modern tools? Well, I'd say maybe the hewing out of the planks from a tree. Now, we understand George Washington had an interest in a water mill down in Dismal Swamp, so we were getting pre-sawn planks, and which is part of the an integral part of the construction of this boat. Is you're working with sawn wood on the sides and the bottom, and you're working with hewn timbers for the frames, stem, stern, and breast hooks.
Kim is asking, what is your background in education?
Well, I've been a boat builder for 20 years and teaching boat building for a good number of those. So, having worked with volunteers and at-risk youth for the last 20 years, doing this process has been my background. We're excited about this boat getting completed and in the water, as it's the first one that we know of that's been built since George Washington actively worked this farm. So come the end of October, we'll have a launching. We'll row around, and I think I'm just going to have to catch a fish from it, or it just won't be real.
How many boats did George Washington have?
Well, as far as we know, he could have had between 14 and 18. They ranged. He even had a seagoing schooner that was built here, and from the records we can see it took 180 days to build. There aren't very many records of the exact details of that vessel, or many others. He referred to boats as my barge, my bateau, my large bateau, fishing boat. They're very, very brief descriptions, so we're still digging, trying to find more information so we can possibly build more of these and closer to what we know was actually here at this time. But the idea that there was actual boat building going on here on the property on an annual basis with building and maintaining, even as significant as a seagoing schooner. George, he liked to do everything himself, or his company. So he had his trade route set up, sailing to the West Indies, trading the fish that he would catch here and preserve in barrels with salt that he had already procured from Portugal. It was found ideal for preserving the fish. And so it's just amazing to me that so many things really did start and circulate here on the estate, and went as far and as wide as they did. So again, keep an eye on what we're doing with our webcam.
We have another question. Someone is asking, are you forced to make any concessions to the 21st century in your process?
Yes, I cannot tell a lie. Occasionally, we do have to pull out a modern tool here and there to meet certain requirements. One thing, we dearly love the traditional tools. I, for one, and having been building boats working on boats for over 40 years, building them for 20, I don't like dust and noise. So for me, the traditional tools with no motors, hand planes that shave, they leave pleasant shavings you can see laying all around here as our floor covering. They're very pleasant to use, but sometimes in order to meet certain deadlines and things, and the idea that there's not many, there's enough of these left, we can find them at flea markets and tool sales, but they're not an unlimited supply. So to save from doing too much detriment to, say, this 17th century hand drill, occasionally we'll use a modern one to augment what we're doing. Well, thank you for watching us. Come back and keep an eye on our progress here. We look forward to our launching in October. We need to go to mountvernon.org/program/boatcamp. Thank you very much.